Simply wow. This is such a major linkage with Boxnation and BT Sports. This is so big for British boxing. I'm lost for words here, and people won't understand like why and how this is so big. People will be thinking like, oh, it's not that big. Believe me when I say that this is an unbelievably big collaboration, and this is gonna double or triple UK boxing. And let me explain why. Just give me a second to explain myself. Now, if boxing wasn't already expanding and growing with the likes of Anthony Joshua and the other fighters on Sky Sports, right? Sky Sports have been doing a tremendous job and really been doing their thing and expanding their demographics and been doing brilliantly with the fighters that they've got. And Eddie Hearn has been doing brilliantly with Sky Sports. Box Nation, on the other hand, has been capitalizing on hardcore boxing fans. Okay, so because I'd like to think that really and truly, whichever you like, I tend to say that both have some good fighters, but the marketability is there with Sky Sports, and they will choose marketability over skilled fighters, whereas Box Nation would rather go for the more skilled fighters than the popular fighters. So that's arguable, okay, but leave that to a side for a second. Let me just explain why this is such a big deal. So Box Nation, I believe, are charging £12 a month. BT Sport charge £21 or £23 a month, okay, to view them on Sky Sports. The difference is, however, that with BT Sport, it's viewed by so many people because if you have BT broadband, you get BT Sport for free, okay? If you have EE, okay, the network EE, you have access to BT Sport for free for the first 6 months and then £5 thereafter. So what does this mean? This means that BT Sport, which is a growing channel, it's growing huge, okay, have linked up with Box Nation. Frank Warren is a genius for doing this. He's an absolute genius because by linking with BT Sport, he's not going to have any competition apart from the UFC. Not only that, Box Nation currently promotes the majority of the fights in the USA. Now, the US boxing does not really take place on Sky Sports, and that for me is a huge selling point for Box Nation. That's the only reason I love Box Nation, because they tend to show all the fights over there stateside. Okay, we wouldn't see many fights, right, which take place in the States if it wasn't for Box Nation, okay? And hardcore boxing fans, okay, are gonna wake up, or stay awake till 3, 4 in the morning to watch the big fights with Danny Garcia. And I mean, these fights are big, but they're not so big that they're gonna show on Sky Sports. So enter Box Nation, okay, and they manage to sign the deals, and they get these fights which aren't that big in the UK, but for the hardcore boxing fans, we need them. Now, let me just explain something. Okay, so Box Nation currently have had a very limited audience in who they've been able to put on their channel because, sorry, let me just rephrase that. Box Nation have been limited in their demographics because they've been charging £12 a month. They've only been targeting towards the hardcore boxing fans. But I love Box Nation because I'm a huge boxing fan, and without the channel, we wouldn't have these US fights showing, and it's got a certain niche there, right? But now Box Nation are going to keep that because the hardcore boxing fans are not going to be willing to pay 20 something pound for BT Sports, right? But they are going to continue to pay the Box Nation charge of £12. They're willing to pay that, and if they don't have BT broadband, which most people don't, then they're going to pay that. On the other hand, all this is going to do is increase the the exposure of boxing to new fans. Basically, we're gonna get boxing now is gonna get millions of more, dare I say it, millions of new fans to boxing, people who didn't used to watch boxing. Because if you watch BT Sport, you don't have Sky Sports, okay, and it's unlikely you're going to purchase Box Nation, correct? And I think that this is a key thing why the UFC has gotten big in the UK, because they've been able to access BT Sport, okay, and although they haven't been on Sky Sports, they have that huge niche, okay, and a Box Nation have capitalized on that niche. Now, the thing that Box Nation are lacking is fighters. They need UK fighters, okay. Having said this, Conor McGregor now has to compete with the entire PBC, Top Rank, and any other stable you can think of in America. He alone has been carrying the UFC flag, okay, in the UK on BT Sport. Okay, without him, the UFC is pretty much collapsed and dead. Ronda Rousey messed up, and the main attraction to the UFC is Conor McGregor. Without him, UFC is nothing. Okay, it dies without Conor McGregor. He's running it. He now has to compete with not just one boxer or two boxers. He now has to compete with not only Pacquiao and Canelo Alvarez, he has to compete with everybody, because these fighters were only showing on Boxnation, okay, to the hardcore boxing fans. And the thing is, you can't sell Pacquiao and Canelo and these guys to average fans out here in the UK at 3 in the morning, but you can sell it to people who watch BT Sport. They'll see the highlights on BT Sport. It's gonna be mega. Believe me, this is gonna be so big. Um, I hope I'm in my points. If you guys can dispute anything I'm saying or agree with what I'm saying, please leave your comments in the section below. In this video in particular, I really want you to comment, and I really want to know what you guys think about this. Leave your comment section below. Subscribe as always. Be Real TV, BT Sport, and Box Nation. I've hooked up. Mega deal in a bit, guys.